As I mentioned, UFC Wichita this weekend, and we have a ton of interviews. James Lynch did a great job. He talks to Coach Jim West about Marion Renault's fight, talks to Marion Renault herself, Alex Morono, Curtis Millender, the co-main event, Grant Dawson. Lots of good fights over here. But on the prelims, we have Alex White, a -155, Dan Moret, a +135. You have Alex Morono, a -185, Zach Atow, a +160, Luis Smoka, who has been on a resurgence, and Matt Schnell have a pick'em. Smoka is a -115. Schnell is a -105. Then we have Grant Dawson, a -170. Julian Arosa, a +150. Anthony Rocco Martin, -190. Sergio Moraes, a +165. Out of those fights in particular, before we talk about some others, do any stand out to you with any value, or is there anybody you're particularly looking forward to seeing compete on this card out of those I mentioned?
Well, you mentioned the Morono Otto fight, right?
Yes, and Zach Atow is, I believe, on his last fight of his UFC contract.
Yeah, I like that fight, man. People are like, huh? No, I like that fight. I really like that fight. That's the fight I'm kind of, there's a lot of good scraps here, don't get me wrong, but that's the fight I'm kind of paying very close attention to.
There's also a fight that I think a lot of people should pay attention to. One of my I got 5 on it picks just because it's at heavyweight, man. Maurice Green, a +175. Jeff Hughes, a -210. I know the UFC likes Jeff Hughes an awful lot, but then you get into some fights with some more familiar names. Amari Akhmedov, a -130. Tim Boetsch, a +110. Considering that Tim Boetsch makes a fight out of anything, I think that line is about right where it is, where it should be. True.
I'll be quick. In looking at that fight there, is he really a submission threat? I mean, Tim Boetsch only generally loses to guys that could really submit him, technically speaking. All right, so I think we're going to see just a crazy battle here. So I'm looking forward to it.
Also, I should mention the Smoka fight is again at bantamweight, much like his fight in China in November. So you have that. Then you have Marion Renault against Yana Kunitskaya. Kunitskaya won 2 out of 3. She had that fight with Cyborg last year. So a lot of people forget she's a former title challenger, technically. Marion Renault has 1 loss in her last 5 fights, but 41 years old. You always got to wonder when that button is pushed. It's something that we talk about here a lot. And how do you think this one goes, Joe?
I think it's a good scrap. I mean, the fight that she did lose was against Ngannou, who I want to talk about in a second. And it went to the decision, right? So it went the full distance, which means she still got the juice. So good for her, right? She could still, she could still compete. I like the scrap. At the same time, like you said, people do forget about the fact that Yana was a former title contender, right? Albeit she did lose to Cyborg in the first round, and then she went the decision with Lena Landsberg, who many people think shouldn't even be in the UFC. Yeah. So it does have the potential to be a boring fight. It does have the potential to have a finish very, very quickly. So it's one of those things where we got to just let them go through. I do want to ask you a question though regarding Kat Zingano. I think you mentioned it last week. Was it last week or just in general? How it's open season on eye pokes. Yeah. Dude, you can't say that. You can't say that, woman. You can't, because now every commissioner, referee, and blah blah knows you said it, and if you do it, you're out. You're gone. You're disqualified.
You're done. I like the aggressiveness we've seen lately. John Jones had 2 points taken from him for the knee. Good. We saw a fence grab get an immediate point deduction recently. I love it. Good. These people know the rules. And if they don't, whose problem is that? Well, it's going to be their problem. That's what I like. Marion Renault, a +155. Yana Kunitskaya, a -175. Yeah, Beneil Dariush and Drew Dober. Drew Dober, a +165. Dariush, a -190. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this has the makings of one of those fights that could be a sleeper that ends up being really good, or it could be just absolutely miserable. And Dariush, I feel like his back is still against the wall a little bit. He beat Thiago Moises in November, but he was winless in 3 fights in a row before that. Drew Dober, on the other hand, is not. Drew Dober quietly has won 5 of 6. These are 2 people in way different points in their career. And it feels like Drew Dober has been around a lot longer than he has been. And he was a guy who I think, only had one win in his first 5 fights. He was lucky to stay around. And boys, he had a career resurgence. I'm picking him to beat Dariush, who I think he peaked a little bit early.
Yeah, the whole Dariush thing has many of us thinking, what happened? What's wrong? Right? And I think your assessment of that he peaked too early might be correct. Like, is that it? Like, you were considered a top contender. You were almost in the title mix.
He beat Miller, Johnson, Magomedov, James Vick. Like, he beat those guys.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure. I mean,
Pereira, he beat him too. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's weird. So again, it's one of these fights that I enjoy watching because there's a lot of questions heading into them, and you think to yourself, okay, well, what if this happens or that happens, or what will it really mean if Dariush loses, and what does it mean when if Dober wins, and vice versa, right? Like, a lot of questions are going to be answered with this fight here, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
From a name value perspective, this is a 1-fight card. From a quality perspective, it's a lot more than that. Ben Rothwell, Blagoy Ivanov, I like that fight. I would like it a lot more if it isn't like the Ivanov Dos Santos fight, which was an absolute stinker. But I am of the belief that Ivanov belongs. Rothwell fighting for the first time in 3 years after USADA battles. And before he went away, he got beat by Dos Santos as well, but had won 4 of his last 5. You got to throw that out the window when you've been gone for 3 years, though. It's clean slate here. Who do you see winning this one? Ivanov is a -130, Rothwell a +110. Considering the nature of heavyweights, I think that line is appropriate.
Yeah, but there's also a 5-year youth advantage that's going to go to Ivanov, right? Yeah. So I'm looking at Blagoy and saying, you know what? I think he's going to have the speed. Rothwell's going to have the power, but he's never ever been accused of having fantastic footwork other than his post-fight celebrations, which are beyond epic. I mean, I've known Ben for a while, but I think, at 37, having not competed in 3 years, it's not like you're 30 years old having not competed since you were 27. You're still young. I think age may catch up with him in this fight here, especially not being as fresh. You can do all you want in the gym. It doesn't always translate correctly when you're actually in the octagon. So I'm going to go with Ivanov in this one.
Another good fight that's likely to happen. -190 Tim Means against +165 Nico Price. This is like the type of fight you throw on one of these ESPN shows and you say, feast your eyes. This is going to be a banger. Nico Price will be one of my I got 5 on it picks just because of his ability to finish in rounds 1 and 2. But man, Means has been he can weather some of that stuff. He is a crafty veteran, but I think Nico Price is going to do it. I think he's a little bit more consistent than Tim Means.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite. I mean, Tim Means right now could potentially be in a 4-fight win streak because 2 of those losses to Sergio Moraes and Belal Muhammad were split decisions. So they could have went the other way. You add that to the Ricky Rainey victory in his last fight, and then the Alex Garcia, which was kind of got me by surprise. The Dirty Bird, man, he could be on a 4-fight win streak here. So I'm actually going to lean towards Tim Means in this fight.
Curtis Millender, who we interviewed on Fightful, thanks to James Lynch, is really looking to crack that top 15, and he gets an opportunity against number 13 Alicia Zaleski dos Santos, and he's actually favored. He's a -125. Zaleski is a +105. Now, when you look at Dos Santos, he's won 6 in a row in the UFC. Lyman Good, Sean Strickland, some okay names. But Millender, man, he stepped in and he's fought Thiago Alves and Max Griffin and Bahadur Zada. Like, he's fought some real good names. This is not the same guy that I watched get choked out twice in a couple months in Bellator. Yeah. This ain't him. And even when he stepped into Bellator, he was fighting some guys that were a little bit out of his depth. I mean, he had only fought in 1 promotion before Bellator. Only 1. And he went back to the drawing board. He got some experience, went into LFA, changed his career, and now he's beating guys. I think Curtis Millender can grind him out, but from a talent standpoint, this is an underrated fight. How do you see this one going?
I think the lines are bang on. -125 for Millender, +105 for Dos Santos. I'm leaning towards Millender in this fight here. Obviously, I'm not going to put 5 on it because he's a -125 favorite, but I think it's going to be fantastic. I think these guys are going to showcase some really good mixed martial arts. And, Millender's no joke, man. Millender is just one of those dudes where it's like, all right, referee, move out of the way. We're going to get this done. I mean, I enjoyed the Thiago Alves fight, that's for sure. I know it was a KO in the second round, but it says a lot. I remember the Max Griffin fight when we all broke it down at UFC 26. We were concerned, and he proved us wrong. Right? He proved us wrong that, you know what, I can go the full distance with these guys. And then the Bahaduzada fight, which was weird in general, but he beat him. Right? So I'm with Curtis in this one.
Main event, you have Derek Lewis, who is a plus 180 against Junior Dos Santos, a minus 220. How do you break this one down, Joe? It is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Dos Santos is going to try to pepper him.
Yeah, he'll stay away. He'll try and stay away from the power. And like you said, pepper him, work slowly, in and out, like Junior always does, and just go in there and try and go for the finish. The beauty of his opposition in Derek Lewis is you can never count him out. Ever count him out. So this thing can go 5 rounds. It can go 1 round. You can never blink in a Derek Lewis fight. And you know that, Junior Dos Santos, sometimes if he's under pressure, can not just fold, he can fade, right? So anything can happen in this scrap here. This is going to be a fantastic scrap, and it's going to say a lot because Derek Lewis is number 3 right now, and Junior Dos Santos is number 8. You take out the number 3 guy, hello,